Hey guys, today we are going to make, actually, here's my little wizard cabinet that I've been working on. So I've got little potion bottles and all kinds of doodads that I've been working on and playing around with, and the little chest that I made. But I had a couple people ask me how I do my scrolls. So I'm going to show you how I do them. Although I'm going to make scrolls that actually have something printed on them. Most of the ones that I have in here are just blank that I roll up for props, and they're Mod Podged so they stay closed. But we will do some with some printables that I have for you guys. So hang on just a second and I will be right back. Okay. I've got these that I did up for you. There's a couple different kinds. You can do these, which are horizontal, and you'll have the little scrolly pieces that come up and meet on the sides like that. Then you've got this one in the middle that will be vertical, so it'll end up when you roll it up that this is toward the end. And the one that we are going to do is going to be this one, which you can roll up from both sides, and this will be like you're in the middle of the scroll. And I've already screwed up this video several times. My phone was being weird, so I have a couple of these good to go. I will still show you all the steps, but it won't take as long because I don't have to wait for anything to dry. Okay, first thing I do is, you could sit and measure these out and mark them with pencil and cut them, but because they're scrolls and because they're parchment and they've been handled quite a bit and they're, you know, old and they belong to my humble wizard Zedekus, and he's acquired them from who knows where, they've seen some things, so they are not going to be nice and neat. So what I do, instead of cutting them with the scissors, I just take a metal ruler and I rip off the edge. Then I'm going to figure out, don't worry about this, this will be covered. You can cut it off, but it'll be rolled up in the scroll, so you're not going to see it anywhere. I'm going to go about the same distance that I have on the top here. Rip that off, although we're not going to use that one right now. We're going for this guy right here. So I'm going to get him. Oops, I ripped him, but that's okay because we've got this one right here ready to go. But I will show you how I color them also. What I do is I go out and I buy really super cheapest of the cheap instant coffee crystals, and I mix a really strong mixture that we use to dye the paper. And now that I can just roll through this real quick because I already have one waiting for us, I just take a silicone baking mat, and I'll tell you why I do this in a second here. And I literally take my fingers, dip it in here. Don't be fancy about it. You want it to kind of look modeled, to have some variation in the coverage, and it'll even out quite a bit actually too while it's drying. But I always do the back first. I use an inkjet printer, and I haven't had any issues with the ink smearing on the printables when I do this yet. And I don't know if I was to spray it with like a fixative or a sealant, like Mr. Super Clear or Testors, or, you know, one of the other brands that you get at Walmart, I don't know that if it would affect the way the paper absorbs the coffee. I haven't tried it, so I can't really say for certain whether you want to try that or not. I haven't used anything and it turns out fine. And the reason I use a silicone baking mat is when I set these to dry, I take it all the way to the edge and I use a little clip and I clip it on there and I put the fan on it and then I walk away and go do something else. So we will pretend that that's what I did. Get this out of my way. And we will use this guy right here. That's what he looks like when it's dry. Now at this point you can do a couple different things. You can leave it like it is, or you can, where did it go? Ah, right there. You can rough up the edges a bit. Now because this one's going to be rolled like this and like this, we don't have to worry about roughing up these edges because they're not going to be seen. They're going to be rolled up and hidden. But I like to take an X-Acto knife or the blade of a scissors or whatever you have handy and just kind of rough it up a little bit. And because I'm paranoid and my phone wasn't working earlier, let me double check. Yes, I am recording. All right, good job. And there. Now at this point, we are going to go ahead and roll up, get us started. What I've done is I got these beads on Temu, and I believe that they are, I want to say they're coconut, but I've used different wood beads before. These are just regular, just wood beads that I painted the same color as the wood, the dowel, and I just used their dollar store skewers. Everybody's got those on hand. Anyway, I've got 2 of them because we will have 1 on each end. And the holes in my beads were actually not large enough, so I had to take a pin drill and drill them out a little bit. And even then, I still had, because I didn't have a bit any larger, I had to take an emery board and sand each end of the skewer so that the beads fit on where they need to be, which is fine, no big deal. You might have beads that fit perfectly. Otherwise, like I said, I just have a little hand drill, a little pin drill, and I took widened the opening on the beads a little bit. And then actually at this point you can do a couple things too. If you want to age the edge, you can go in, and I just use either the same coffee mixture. You can go ahead and do the edges a little bit more, kind of rough them up a little bit. You can take distressing ink, and you can, or watercolors, or watered down acrylic paint. Anything you'd like. Actually, if you want to just darken the edges a little bit like it's been handled, you don't have to. It's totally up to you. Some I do, some I don't. This one I did, and I believe this one I used the ink on. This one I just used the coffee water, and it's got a nice little water stain. I like how that turned out there. You never know what you're going to get. It's the magic of water. You know, it's unpredictable. You never know what it'll do. And because it's on the edges, I'm not going to freak out too much. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right to the glue because that will dry with time while the glue is drying. I just used regular tacky glue. Put a little line on each end. Keep your glue handy. Now you can paint the dowels ahead of time if you want to, but I've never found it necessary because I just paint up to the beads. Sometimes I paint the beads, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Whichever order you'd want to do it in is fine. And I just realized that the ends of this thing are going to be pretty long. But that's okay. So the wizard's got to have room to hold on to it. He needs some handle on there. Just roll it down to where you want it. Maybe add a little glue here and there. I'm going to roll mine to about there, I believe. That looks good to me. Do the other end. Mine's kind of crooked, but like I said, again, it doesn't matter all that much. These scrolls have been used and abused. Jostled around in saddlebags and on shelves. I'm sure they've had ale and tea and all manner of things spilled on them. Ink. Okay. And actually, I don't know. Those handles look a bit long to me. I don't know if I want to cut some off or not. I think I'll cut a little bit off. Don't you love it when you clean your craft room and you find all kinds of bits and pieces, stray pieces of wood and beads and things that go flying when you're working, and hidden behind shelves and under desks. And I'm just using an emery board to smooth out the ends because these things have been handled quite a bit. They'd be worn down and soft, and you don't want to scratch your doll or give yourself a splinter. Yes, that one's very crooked, but you know what? I'm cool with that. No biggie. And then, like I said, you can either glue your beads on now or and paint them later, or if you wanted, you can just leave it like this. You can leave the sticks bare, you can paint the sticks. However you want to embellish them is up to you. You might have some metal beads or something fancy that you wanted to make it look a little more, I don't know, like maybe it came from the king, or you know, someone more important than my wizard dude. But this is just a regular scroll, so nothing fancy. Just a little bit of tacky glue. Obviously, if you use different beads or, you know, metal beads or whatever, you're going to want to use an appropriate glue, maybe a super glue. And please don't run out of glue. Just put a little bit of tacky glue on there. Slide some beads on. Slide them right up to the parchment. And I don't know about you, but I love all things medieval fantasy, and I think we need more of it in the doll world in 1/6 scale. I know there are people that are into that as well, and I've seen some amazing clothing and medieval props done by other people, and it is right up my alley. So Even though I have a dollhouse that's still in progress, it'll probably never be finished the way I'm going. I have a kitchen that's in a million pieces and lighting that needs to be redone, but it's modern, and I think I need a little medieval fix, so this is what I've been doing lately, and I'm cool with that. Okay, glue can go bye-bye. Now, while this one is drying, I'm going to pull one of these that we've already done over here. And at this point, I Mod Podge mine because when they're, especially the ones that are on the shelves, because you can see that they're, I don't know, they can handle wear and tear more, or being handled more, because the Mod Podge protects them. And even though it's matte, we all know that matte Mod Podge gives a little bit of a sheen to it. But, I mean, it's parchment, or, you know, if it's vellum, certain papers have a certain sheen to them, and they absorb the oil from your hands. And I don't know, it's a personal preference, but I'm going to have this sitting out on Zed's work table or his desk. And I don't know how much it's going to be handled, so I'm going to go ahead and at least put one coat of Mod Podge on here, I think. But that's after I paint the handles. It's up to you whether you want to coat it or not, or paint it or not. Just make it your own. I'm just using acrylic paint. Go with a little, looks like melted chocolate today. I think I'm going to do up some in the future that I have some metallic paints. Maybe I'll use these same wooden beads, but paint them in metallic colors. I don't know. I don't like gluing metal things with super glue, and I'm too impatient. Even with super glue, it seems like you have to hold things for a while for them to catch. I'd rather use tacky glue, and I always have tacky glue, and I have a habit of letting my super glue dry out. So up to you what you want to do. And I don't think I'm going to paint the beads. I kind of like the wooden look with all the scratches and dings in them. I think that looks nice to me. So I'm going to leave it as it is. Might as well paint this one while I'm at it. Hopefully I said, did I mention the printables? I think I did. I don't know, I'll put a link in the description so you guys can find them. I've got some book covers in that album too, if you guys are interested, that work with foam board, because foam board is another craft staple. And yes, I'm totally rinsing my paintbrushes out with coffee. Okay. We're always waiting for paint to dry, aren't we? Okay. Like I said, I use matte Mod Podge. And yeah, you can just cover, I'm going to cover the whole thing. because it just, I don't know, makes me feel better, I guess. I'm afraid I'm gonna rip it, especially since I wet it down the way I did with the coffee and whatnot. It's already had enough liquids on it. So I'm just gonna coat everything. Give everything a coat of Mod Podge, beads and parchment, and where's my, there it is. I love these cheapo silicone mats. I use them all the time. Just wash the glue and the paint off. And that is pretty much it. You're pretty much done. We'll let that front dry and then I will do the back, and the handles. And while the Mod Podge is on it, if you want it to take on some wrinkles, what I do is, especially with these, when I'm Mod Podging them, I kind of squish it around while the Mod Podge is wet, and then I set it up so it'll dry, excuse me, and it'll take on whatever shape you mold it into. It'll dry that way, which is nice. And this one I want to dry kind of like that. So I am going to go ahead and paint the back real quick so that I can leave it sit and it will dry how I want it to. I think I got enough on there. Geesh. I'm just going to do one coat though. The ones that sit on the shelf that are rolled up that don't open, I think I did 2 coats on those. Just to protect them. But I'm going to leave this. Kind of manipulate it however you would like. I think I want it to dry just like that. Or however you want to do it. Like that. And after that's all dry, then they come out looking like that. See? Told you it was easy. You can see this one I used just little tiny wooden beads. And some of them I have just like that, just props. But that's it. I'm gonna shut off this video and I'm going to finish mine, and I will get this posted and out to you as soon as I can. All right, thanks guys. Bye.